Hi there, my name is Steve Snap, and in this episode I want to talk about this idea of using dashboards to drive sales behavior. And so I want to just talk about some of the lessons that I've learned and some of the things that I've seen some of our clients deal with and share some of that with you, and hopefully you can take one or two ideas away that help you. I think one of the first things that I've noticed in dealing with clients that have dashboards is there needs to be a real clear difference between who the audience is of a particular dashboard. So what I mean by that is if a dashboard is geared towards an executive who maybe is looking at the general health of the business, we need to take that same concept and break it down into more of a specific view if we're sharing a dashboard with a rep. So this introduces one of the first, I guess you call it best practices or ideas, which is generally speaking, I like to recommend that we have a management dashboard and a rep dashboard. Now you might have another level of manager and executive, and certainly you could have multiple levels within that. But I think the idea is that your manager is looking at maybe the performance of a team, and your individual rep is obviously looking at the performance of their territory in this example. So the first concept is to have audience-specific dashboards, or you could say role-specific dashboards that really just drive a particular behavior. The second thing that I recommend is that the same metrics that you use within the rep dashboard, as an example, you also use in your manager dashboard. So for example, in another video, I talk about this idea of neglected accounts. Well, if you are showing a rep a list, let's say, of the accounts in their territory that are quote unquote neglected, then you also want to show that same concept in your team dashboard, but you want to show the entire team. So let's say Steve Snap has 50 neglected accounts and John Smith has 20. Well, in your team dashboard, you want to show that Steve has 50 and John has 20. But in the individual rep dashboard, you want to show Steve that he's got 50. Then, and this is probably the most important recommendation I can make, you want to establish what I call a meeting rhythm, where you're reviewing the team dashboard at a minimum, let's say weekly or maybe twice a month. And in that team dashboard and in that team review, you want to review those metrics that you want to see a behavior around. And what happens is if you are consistently reviewing that, and I recommend weekly, but if you're consistently reviewing their neglected accounts and you're consistently talking about it, you will see a performance improvement within that area. And there's all kinds of psychology for it, and obviously you can probably figure all that out. But the idea is, to just put it simply, I always like to say what's inspected is respected. So those are the three big ideas. Number one is role-specific dashboards. Number two is consistency across your dashboards in terms of metrics. And number three is meeting rhythm and a consistent way of doing that. Now, in doing those three things, there's a couple other little best practices that I like to recommend. One is that you try to limit the number of charts within your dashboard, ideally to less than 3 charts. That way, if you're doing, let's say, a weekly review, and let's say it's an hour meeting or even a 30-minute meeting, you could spend in a 30-minute meeting 10 minutes on each of those charts, and you're reinforcing it enough consistently that you get that behavior. If you're spending an hour, obviously you could spend a little bit more time, maybe 20 minutes. So the whole point there is to develop that consistency and develop that habit pattern, not only for yourself as a manager, but also for your team. Now I'm just going to show a couple of these ideas on my screen here just to kind of reinforce that. So here I have what we call a lead aging report. And in this particular example, this would be the team report that I would be using to reflect kind of what's going on with the team. Now in this example, I'm not showing the individual team members in the chart. That's actually a very good technique. Just in this example, I'm not doing that, but I am doing it inside the detail report. So if I drill down into the detail report, I will see that within my needs attention category, I can see who the individual reps are that are managing those accounts. So I can see within all of these accounts that need attention, Andy's managing one of those, Jeff's got one, John's got 4 or 5, etc. And in that meeting, I'm going to quickly just mention, hey, Andy, what's going on with Smith Technology? Why haven't you updated them? Now, what I'm looking for there is I want to reinforce the idea that I take neglected accounts very seriously. But what I'm also going to be looking for periodically is to make sure that they're not just putting in bogus information so that I don't ask them. But the main idea here is that Andy's going to know that on Monday at 10 a.m. when we have the meeting, if there are neglected accounts in there, I'm going to ask him about it. And the same thing with Jeff and the same thing with John. So the whole point of the meeting rhythm is to create that awareness that, hey, this guy's serious about this and he's going to ask me about it. Then when they're looking at their dashboard that shows their 5 neglected accounts, they know that on Monday they're going to get asked about it. So they've got the rest of the week to get their neglected accounts squared away. And this concept applies on any metric. I'm talking about neglected accounts, but it could be pipeline. One of the issues you might be dealing with is maybe reps aren't moving deals through their stages quick enough. And so maybe one of the things you look at is the number of deals that are in each segment of your pipeline. And if that number is the same every single week, that particular rep knows they're going to get asked about it. So again, the idea, role specific dashboards, consistency across the metrics, meaning that I'm looking at the same metric on the executive dashboard, just looking at a team, and the rep sees that same metric in their dashboard. And then finally, a consistent meeting rhythm. So anyway, those are just a couple quick thoughts. If you find value either from this video or other videos on our channel, please hit subscribe and please like this video if you found it useful. And if you have any questions or you'd like to talk further about how to implement this in your business, the link to my calendar should be in the comments and the description. And feel free to add any comments or questions directly in that comments area as well. And we look forward to talking with you. Thank you.